There's a lot of talk about climate change and how we need to fix it, but have you ever wondered what is climate change actually, and why is it such a big deal that people are all up in arms trying to get this issue resolved? Or maybe you do know about climate change, but you're actually just like, why should I care when there are more important things in the world to care about? Or how is it going to affect me? Or you're just thinking, why is it my problem to do anything about climate change? If you're here and you have all these questions in your mind about this word of the century, climate change, then you are in the right place, because in this video we are going to be delving deep into what is climate change and why should we care about it. Nature family, and welcome to another video, and welcome to those of you who are new to this channel. It is so good to have you here. I am so excited to be introducing a new series on this channel, Climate Change is Not My Problem, which we'll be talking about over the next couple of weeks. Firstly, because I think specifically discussing the topic of climate change on this channel is now long overdue. And also because it's the buzzword of the century and we can't be here and not talk about it. I mean, it's just not right. But before we get into it, I would just like to pause here and note that Ep1 for Nature is available on TikTok and Instagram. So please head over there and follow me on those platforms for more shorter and cool videos that I post every week, so that you don't miss out on anything that is happening on this channel. Let's begin. The topic of climate change often tends to attract polarizing views, and a case in point is this comment that I received on one of the videos on this channel, and it read, "You people didn't go to school. You know that the world always changed its climate to continue the change of life on Earth. So just go with the flow and stop trying to be a smart ass." Now, while there are undertones of climate denialism in the statement, it does raise some critical issues about climate change that we need to talk about, especially if we are to collectively work together to combat its impact and effects as a global community. The best place to begin is therefore, what on earth is climate change? Simply put, climate change refers to the significant changes in global temperatures and weather patterns over time. It is different from weather in the sense that weather is more short-term. For example, today's weather is different from yesterday's weather, and it's going to be different from tomorrow's weather or next week's weather, and so forth. Climate, on the other hand, is more longer-term average weather conditions of a particular region. It is assessed over a long period of time. For example, in order for you to know if a place is a wet or a dry place, you assess that by looking at the longer term weather patterns of that region to see, have they been receiving a lot of rain, or is it more hot and dry? You cannot assess that by just looking at, say, the weather in the past 2 days and then you say this is a dry region, right? So that is the essential difference between weather and climate. Now, going back to our comment, it is actually true that the climate changes over time. It is a necessary process to support and regulate life on Earth. So yes, the person who made this comment was kind of right in that sense. However, the key word here is over time, okay? Scientific evidence and research has shown that the recent changes in climate and the extreme weather patterns that we're experiencing globally are not entirely natural, but rather induced by human activities, particularly the emission of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. What does this mean? While the climate naturally changes to regulate life on Earth over time, say in 500 years, for example, in recent times, that timeline has been reduced and accelerated due to certain activities that human beings are undertaking here on Earth. That is, the more greenhouse gas emissions we emit into the atmosphere, the quicker the climate changes. So in essence, the current climate crisis is really because there is an additional factor to the natural process, and that is human beings. So if you're wondering what the fuss about climate change is, it is because the climate is changing at a much faster and abnormal rate than it usually would had there been no human interference in the process. And as a result of that, it is causing detrimental damage to both human and natural life, and we need to safeguard against that. It is important for us to understand this critical difference and know what is natural and what isn't, and to also understand the causes behind the phenomenon. We cannot sufficiently address the issue of climate change if we cannot all understand this crucial difference and therefore why we need to urgently act on it. So what are some of the impacts of climate change today? Understanding and addressing climate change is actually crucial for various reasons. Firstly, climate change threatens biodiversity by altering the natural habitats of species and also causing species to go extinct. Secondly, it also increases the frequency of extreme weather events such as floods, hurricanes, droughts, which can cause human suffering and economic damage. This is something that we have seen and experienced, especially here in South Africa, in KZN. We have a real-life example of what extreme weather events can do, especially when you're not disaster ready and prepared. And finally, climate change can also lead to rising sea levels, which can displace people living in coastal areas. These are just some of the impacts of climate change, but as we proceed with this series, you're going to see just how hectic it can be if nothing is done to solve it. So what does this all mean? I've been defining all of this, and maybe in your mind you're like, so what does this all mean, Tatenda? We are already experiencing all of these impacts. Some parts of the world more than others, with all the floods, the droughts, the wildfires, the heat waves, and the melting of the ice glaciers, that is constantly being reported in several parts of the world. And South Africa is not exempt to any of this. I've already mentioned the KZN floods that we have seen and how devastating those were, not just to human life, but also to the economy. So what does this mean? Basically, our home, this beautiful earth, is on fire, and we cannot just sit and relax and watch it burn expecting someone else to come and put out the fire, or simply adopt an attitude that says that it is a natural process, let it flow, because we are flowing into extinction and we need to do something about it now. We induced this fire, it is our responsibility to put it out. So for these reasons and more, it is thus important that we take urgent action to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change. Alright you guys, I'll leave it here for this video, which is one of many videos that I'll be sharing as we go through this series, Climate Change is Not My Problem. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it informative, and that the question, what on earth is climate change and why we need to do something about it, is starting to become clearer for you. I always want to hear back from you, so let me know what you think of this topic and what we've just discussed down in the comment section. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be expanding on this topic, discussing other things such as the causes of climate change, who is responsible for climate change and fixing it. And we're also going to look at what individuals can do to become part of climate solutions as we progress with this series. This is all part of a bigger conversation on climate change and what we can actually do about it, because at the end of the day, it requires collective responsibility, whether you think you are responsible for it or not. At the end of the day, it affects all of us, and we all need to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So that is the intention of this whole series, and I hope you guys are excited for it as much as I'm excited for it, or even more. I'll also be linking up some useful resources for you to look at on this topic, and I hope that you're going to find them useful as we continue to unpack this topic on climate change. So yeah, if you have not subscribed yet to this channel, this is the time for you to subscribe, because you don't want to miss out on all of these things that are going to be happening. So please do click the subscribe button down below and the notification bell on the right, so that you're notified every single time I upload a video and you don't miss out on this brand new series. Until the next time, stay true, keep fighting, and keep the earth clean.